Sis.
And I'm Tiffany, and we're the hosts of Legit KidLit, a video series where we get to see into the secret and silly lives of authors and illustrators.
We love to celebrate and promote books, but most of all, we want to say hey to all you readers out there trying to find that right book for you. We hope that you can find some new reads after today.
For episode 14, we have author David Bowles joining us. He is author of multiple novels, chapter books, myths and legends, poetry and story collections, and translations. We also expect to see more chapter books, novels, and upcoming graphic novels, and a picture book in the near future. Hello, David. Welcome to Legit KidLit. We are so excited to have you here today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
As you know, and as maybe viewers don't, I'm David Bowles. I'm an author from Deep South Texas, where I've lived my entire life. From a Mexican-American family down here. I teach at the university, and I write. I've written 24 books, mostly for kids, like middle grade and YA mostly, but now my new chapter book series has come out from HarperCollins, and I'm super excited about that. 13th Street is creepy and spooky and just the perfect reading experience for this Halloween season, this Halloween Day of the Dead season. So I'm excited to chat with y'all about my work and about these books and about, all the creepy goodness that kids will find inside.
We are so excited to be chatting with you about your 13th Street chapter book series. Book 1, Battle of the Bad Breath Bats. Book 2, Fire Breathing Ferret Fiasco. Say that 5 times fast. Book 3, Clash of the Cackling Cougars. And then we have 4 and 5 coming out. 4 comes out this month, November 2020, The Shocking Shark Showdown. And then book 5 is April next year, Tussle with the Tooting Tarantulas. Oh my, the alliteration here. I'm going to use this in our poetry lesson. These sound amazing.
Yeah, thanks. There's also a 6th book coming out in the fall of next year, so that'll be really exciting. It's a 6-book series.
Oh wow, so it'll be over in the fall. Interesting. How do you feel about that?
Well, over in the chapter book world is never really over. So there's definitely an arc that ends at the end of book 6. But if lots and lots of kids like it, then the series may continue. And I've got all kinds of ideas for ways to extend it beyond book 6. So I'm crossing my fingers. Read the books.
Go out there and get the books, guys. Come on.
Absolutely. And get your librarians and your English teachers and your parents to get copies for your cousins and your friends. Anything you can do. Trust me, they'll like them.
So some of the things that I really loved about book 1, there's lots of really awesome graphics inside, super silly, likable characters. There's even little markers that show you where you're at in the book, like what chapter you're in and how many chapters are left. It's just really, really cool. You got to go out and grab this series.
So tell us, how did you come up with the idea for the 13th Street series?
So HarperCollins reached out to my agent, and they were interested in working with me because of the work I'd done on the Unicorn Rescue Society series with Adam Gidwitz. And we chatted, and they had this basic idea for a world called 13th Street that would be spooky and kids get lost in it. And that was about it. And they were like, if you're interested, play around with that idea and, give us some more depth and detail. And so I created the idea of a group of cousins from Deep South Texas, Mexican-American kids, who go on vacation to visit their aunt in Gulf City, which is the big city a few hours from their small town. And while visiting her and going to the city pool, they wind up taking a shortcut that leads them to this weird alternate world that is basically one long street that never ends, full of like rusted down cars and boarded up buildings. And there are lots of monsters living on it. And so the kids in each book, they keep getting pulled back into this world and have to escape. And the idea of using South Texas and using Latinx kids and trying to to write a story that kind of ties into the culture of the community that I come from and all the things that I loved when I was a kid about being with my primos, with my cousins, was, just a really wonderful opportunity. And HarperCollins jumped at the idea, and they brought Shane Cluster on board to do the illustrations. And everything came together kind of like magic, and it worked really well.
Is there a character in your 13th Street series that you were like as a kid, or you're kind of like now?
So of the three kids, Malia, Malapata, Dante Davila, and Ivan Eisenberg, I'm probably most like Ivan, although I kind of wish that weren't true, but it is. He's the brain of the group. Dante is the beauty, and Malia is the boss. Ivan he doesn't want to take risks unless everything's in place and he's planned it out and he's read books on it and he knows that they're experts that say X, Y, and Z. He's really, really smart, but sometimes his intelligence gets in the way of just like jumping into action and doing what needs to be done. Luckily, he's got his cousins with him, and together they make a team. But yeah, I think I'm probably more like him, with my nose in a book, always trying to figure out what are all the details about a thing that I want to do, rather than just getting in there and doing it.
There's nothing wrong with brains and having your nose in a book.
No, indeed there's not. But when you're going on an adventure and fighting monsters, you definitely want a little bit more. But luckily Ivan does grow throughout the books, and so it was kind of cool to kind of chart my own journey as a person, going from being really book driven to using that book knowledge to do things in the real world, and that's what Ivan does.
If Ivan was reading a book right now, what book would he be reading?
Probably this one, Apollo 13, A Successful Failure, which I just got in the mail yesterday, and it's pretty cool. I would probably say, and this is maybe meaningless to anybody who's watching, but for the character of Doña Chabela, who is the older woman who has some kind of secret agenda and keeps sending the kids into harm's way and putting them on 13th Street, I'd love to see Mexican singer Lila Downs play that role, just because of the connection between Lila Downs and the singer Chabela Vargas, for whom I named the character. So it's kind of weird, but yeah. As far as the kids, I mean, they're like kids. I'm trying. For the life of me, I can't think of 3 Latinx kids, young actors that would be great to play it. All I can think of are adults that maybe when they were young could do it. So, but yeah, definitely Lila Downs for Doña Chabela.
If 13th Street was a Netflix original, what would the music for the introduction be?
It would probably be this song right here. It's called Son de Difuntos, which means like the Dead People Jam or Dead People song. And since they discover that 13th Street is actually part of the underworld, it would be kind of perfect. Lila Downs, the singer I was talking about before, is the composer and singer of the song. Okay, yeah, no, I will take your dare. I've been listening a lot to music from a few years ago that like makes me happy and kind of lifts me up during kind of tough times right now. And so there's this great song called You Gotta Be by Desiree, and it goes, listen as your day unfolds, challenge what the future holds, try to keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you fears, go ahead, release your tears, stand up and be counted, don't be afraid to cry. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser, you gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger, you gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day.
I was totally just singing along with that song. I love that. Whenever it came on the radio, I would definitely sing along.
Yeah, this is the one that my children remind me of, like every year when whenever we get together and we're having a meal like we were going to be in Thanksgiving, my kids are all adults. I actually am a really good cook. I love to cook. My Instagram is like just full of like pictures of food that I've cooked and that I'm eating. Usually like Korean or Japanese or Indian food, which are like my 3 favorites to cook. But one time when my wife was visiting her family in Mexico, I was in charge of the house, and my kids were much younger than they are now. And I had cooked something, but I had forgotten to turn the stove off. And it was something that had a lot of grease, and so there was a pan with a lot of grease, and I had laid the plastic spatula across the pan. And so we were watching a movie, and I think it was a scary movie, and all the kids were sitting with me on the couch, and suddenly one of my children was like, the air is full of smoke, and she got up and she walked in the kitchen, and the stove was like on fire, and the grease had the plastic had melted into the grease, and it was burning this black smoke, and the microwave that's above the stove like was on fire as well. It was a really, really bad situation. Luckily, we had a fire extinguisher, and I was able to put it out. So yes, make sure there's a fire extinguisher in your kitchen, folks. This is very important. But yeah, I've never been able to live that down.
So my students, 6th graders, eat up graphic novels, and so do I. Can't get enough of them. And we saw on your website that you're working on a graphic novel. So can you tell us about them and when they might be hitting the shelves?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm just like your students and you. I love graphic novels. I grew up reading comics and the Mexican equivalent historietas, and I have always wanted to do stuff in that space ever since I was a kid. And so I've got a couple of different graphic novel projects that are coming out. So I have, there's a book of mine called Feathered Serpent, Dark Heart of Sky, which is all these retellings of Aztec and Mayan myths and legends and so forth. And we're taking 10 of the coolest of those stories and retelling them in graphic novel form for like a middle grade audience. So for kids ages like 10 to like 14 or 15. And frankly, they work for adults as well, but that's the target age. And the first one is coming out like in a week, and the series is called Tales of the Feathered Serpent, and the first book is Rise of the Halfling King, and it tells the story of a half Alush, which is like a Mayan elf, half Alush, half human boy who is raised by a witch and goes on to defeat like this evil tyrant and become the king of the Mayapan, which is like a league of nations that existed about 1,000 years ago. And it's a really old legend, really, really cool. He's got a super cool sidekick, a spider monkey named Mash. And there's lots of adventure and just humor and fun stuff in it. And then the other graphic novel series I have coming out starts next year, and it's for YA audience. So like for there are going to be plenty of 6th graders who want to read it, but it's really more for like 8th through like 12th graders. Called Clockwork Curandera. That's the name of the series. A curandera is a healer in Mexican tradition. And it's like a steampunk series set in an alternate 1865 where northern Mexico and South Texas are a separate nation called the Republic of Santander, where steampunk technology, like airships and steam-driven like robots and things like that exist alongside indigenous magic. And it's just a fun adventure illustrated by Raul III, who did the Lowrider series. And the other graphic novel I was talking about is illustrated by my daughter Charlene, so that's really awesome.
That's so cool. You guys work together on that. That's amazing. You sound very, very busy, and I think that my wallet's going to be very, very empty now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today at Legit KidLit. We really were looking forward to hearing more about the 13th Street, and we know our readers will. It's perfect time of the year to read that book. We look forward to sharing this with other readers, and thank you for taking the time to meet with us.
Hey, it was a delight. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, and I hope everybody has a really, really safe Halloween and Day of the Dead. And although you may be seeing this long after those holidays have gone by, But enjoy the fall and winter. These are some of my favorite months. Curl up with a book, listen to some really cool music, and treat yourself.
To all our wonderful readers, we hope you enjoyed our show and are inspired now to pick up some new and exciting books.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Do do do.